I'm back, both literally and metaphorically, because as you can probably tell by the background, I'm officially back home, even though yesterday I went to the ER and was admitted to the hospital. And metaphorically, because this is the best day or the best that I've felt in a month. And that is not an exaggeration. This is not embellishing for dramatic effect. This is legit the best I've felt in at least a month, maybe slightly more. So it definitely feels good, and hopefully it will last more than just one day. But we'll see. You can't control what happens. So, kind of jump back to yesterday. So, arrived at the emergency room at 9:30 a.m. By about 10 o'clock, I was in my room speaking to nurses and doctors, and by 5 p.m., I was being discharged and allowed to go home. So I literally spent 8.5 hours in the hospital. And just to kind of give you an idea, in the past, I've spent 8.5 hours in the emergency waiting room waiting to speak to a doctor. So, in comparison, the fact that I was able to get there, get a room, get a test, get a diagnosis, and be allowed to go home within that amount of time completely blew my mind. I don't know what it is about Thursday mornings or Thursdays in general, but apparently they seem to be a very good day to go to the ER. And especially considering my condition, considering how dehydrated and, low energy I was because I haven't been barely able to eat anything for the last week, I assumed I would need to spend at least a couple of days in the hospital to, get my fluids back up, get my energy back and everything. But no, turns out that one day was enough to take care of everything. So as I mentioned in the previous video, their initial theory was, there's probably been a little swelling in your head, and that's what's been causing the symptoms, even though you haven't had any of the other symptoms you normally do, such as headaches, such as pressure in the head. But that's probably what happened. Just to be safe and to make sure, we're going to do a CT scan of the head and compare that to your last CT scan just to determine, is there increased swelling or what's going on up there. So did a CT scan, and when they got the results, they came and they're like, we compare the two a month apart. They look pretty much the same. So there's no increase in swelling. There's no increase in size of the tumors or anything. So basically, radiotherapy is doing what it's meant to do. And that explains why there is no pressure in the head. That explains why there is no headaches. So the reason, our theory, the most likely explanation for what you've been experiencing is because you've been on Decadron for so long, which is, it is a steroid. It's basically something you become addicted to. Your body got addicted to it. And as you're slowly lowering the dose, sometimes you reach certain levels and your body just goes into withdrawal because it's become addicted to that substance. So, given the fact that that's the most likely scenario, we're going to re-increase the dose temporarily and once again, slowly taper it down. Just do it a little slower so your body has time to get used to it. So, we gave you a higher dose, a one-time higher dose while you're here in the hospital, just to get rid of all the symptoms and make sure everything goes back to normal. And then you'll increase back. So I was down to 0.5 milligram per day every other day. And if none of this had happened, it would have been another week of that, and then I would have been done completely. Now, given everything that happened, and assuming their theory is correct, and this is what caused the symptoms, and now that we're re-upping the dose, it's going to get rid of everything. The strategy is 5 days of up to 1 milligram per day, and then go back down to 0.5 milligram, but every day for a month. And then by then I'll see my neurologist, and it's going to be up to him to determine the exact plan of how quickly we taper off to eventually get to the point where we can completely stop. So definitely not ideal. I was hoping to finally be done with this in a week, but it's looking like it's going to take longer than that. Maybe a couple weeks more, maybe a month, maybe a couple months. I don't know. But at this point, We got to do what we got to do so my body can handle it. And I don't keep throwing up and having side effects like this because obviously it's not sustainable. So at this point, today I feel great. As I mentioned, surprisingly, even though I went there and everything they gave me and everything they did was to get rid of those symptoms related to the withdrawal of Decadron, for some reason, even though it's completely unrelated, my breathing is better. It's been better since I left the hospital. So yesterday I had a really good, restful night. Same thing for the coughing. Definitely better on that front. I don't know why. I don't know how long it will last, but I'm very grateful for that. And I took advantage of that to go grocery shopping today because yesterday when I came back, I'm like, all right, let's eat. Unfortunately, because of everything I've been going through lately, haven't really had a chance to do much shopping when it comes to groceries. So I ate what I bought the day before, which I was pretty sure was not good for my body because it turns out it was a little spicier than I expected. And at this point, my body cannot handle anything whatsoever spicy. But I'm like, you know what? It's going to be a good test to see what my body can and can't handle. And at the same time, it's going to kind of test to see, am I going to throw up? So eating it went really well. I didn't feel nauseous. Everything was great. But there was that sensation of, I'm not quite sure if I need to poop or I need to throw up, but something's going on in my stomach. But it wasn't very intense. It's kind of like something in the background. And that sensation remained throughout the night. So yes, I slept much better. It's been my best night's sleep in, once again, at least a month, if not more. And I was able to lay flat, sometimes with just one pillow, sometimes two when I was on the side a bit because it's more comfortable that way. But woke up very few times compared to normal. So probably still at least half a dozen times. But didn't have to get up to go to the bathroom. Didn't feel like I was going to throw up to the point where I'm like, all right, I need to go to the bathroom. I can't stay in bed. Same for like, I don't know if I need to poop or throw up or whatever, but it's like I was able to stay in bed all night until 7 a.m. this morning when I finally got up and then tried pooping. Nothing really came out and kind of makes sense since they gave me a higher dose of Decadron and one of the side effects of that is constipation. Unfortunately, because of that, it seems like my body was not able to digest the food that I ate the night before. And as a result of that, I ended up throwing up this morning. So, as I mentioned, food was spicier than it should have been, that my body can handle right now. So, definitely not pleasant to throw up. But at least, it kind of purged my system. And it wasn't like the bad throwing up, the one where you're like, oh my God, this sucks so much. Like it burns my throat. It's horrible. It was just like, all right, let's do it. Let's get it out. It's done. Cool. I feel better now. Let's move on with our life. It was kind of more of that kind of throwing up. So even though, yes, I did throw up this morning, today has definitely been the best day so far. I feel much better than I felt in a very, very long time. Definitely good to be home. And I was able to go grocery shopping. So I bought stuff that's more bland, things that I'm pretty sure my body will be able to handle. And over the next few days, we'll test things out to see how that goes and try to avoid throwing up again. At the hospital, they told me, like, you can stop taking the anti-nausea medication. Things should have gone back to normal. You should be okay. But, if you feel the need, you can take some every once in a while or for a couple days, whatever feels right. But you don't need to take them at this point. So for now, I'm not taking them. We'll see what happens. So far, I've been feeling really good. I'm optimistic about the food that I bought. I ate some cherries and cucumber this morning, and I know I tolerate, vegetables and fruits relatively well. So I'm pretty optimistic on that front. As long as, I'm able to keep food down and I don't need to be hungry. I'm able to force myself to eat enough that my body has the energy that it needs. So as long as I'm able to do that, as long as it goes back to that normal, I'll be good. I'll be happy. And if as an added bonus, my breathing is better and my coughing is better and remains that way, that's even better. But, I know there's a possibility today's just, yesterday I was in the hospital, they gave me the medication, they gave me IV. it's kind of like a high and then things will kind of go back down. I don't know what to expect, but I'm just an optimistic person by nature, so that's what I'm choosing to be. I'm choosing to be optimistic and expect things to go well. So I'm expecting things to continue going well. So far, so good, and I'll definitely talk to you tomorrow.